Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for week 2 of our webinar series with Jetpack and WooCommerce. And this series is talking about starting an online business, getting you from setup to success. We're super excited to have you back. If it's your first time joining us, please be aware that we will be recording this webinar, and we will send it out to you after the 3-part series is complete. Today, we are doing part 2, which is introducing WooCommerce and Jetpack. But before we get started, we are going to do a little housekeeping first. We want to make sure that you can actually hear us and interact with us using the dashboard that you have in front of you. So first, we'd like you to make sure that you have the button that has a hand and a green up arrow that will allow you to raise your hand and let us know that you hear us. Okay, I see hands going up. Perfect. And then we want to make sure that you know how to ask questions when you have them. So if you see the questions window to the right of your screen, you should be able to type in any questions that you may have to interact with us throughout the webinar. We do have a lot of people joining us today, which I'm really excited about, but we will try to get to all the questions in chat. Whatever we don't get to in chat, we'll try to pull out some at the end of the session to answer out loud with our very special guest that we have today. But there is a high likelihood due to the number of people that we won't get through everyone. So please be patient with us. We'll try to get you your questions answered today. If you have any technical issues with the webinar at any point, the best thing to do is to try logging out first and then getting back into the session. If you're still experiencing any issues, you could call the 855 number that you see on your screen. That will get you to the GoToWebinar support team, and they can help you to get back in and hopefully hear us and see the screen clearly. Awesome. Just as a reminder for everyone who just joined, I know we have people still popping in. We will be recording the session. We will have some FAQs that we send you at the end of this 3-part series. This is week 2. Week 1 was last Thursday, and we went over the principles of success. Next week, we will go over a little bit more details on getting your online business started. At the end of the 3-part, we will send out a webinar email that'll have the recording. It'll have an FAQ blog that will answer some of these frequent questions that we get, as well as a link to the slide presentations so you can go through them later. Again, we are super excited to have you. I'm going to pass it over to our first presenter, Mr. Gareth Allison, if you want to go ahead and take over.
Wow, being called Mr. That's high praise indeed. Thank you so much, Michelle. It's great to be here. I'm glad to be with you folks again for week 2. Hello, everyone. Thanks for giving us your time today. Welcome back, especially to the folks that were here last time around. And yeah, I hope you'll find our time together today valuable. My name, as Michelle said, is Gareth Allison. Mr. is nice, but Gareth Allison is probably what I'm more regularly called. And I am the brand, social, email, and content designer for WooCommerce at Automattic. It's a bit of a mouthful of a job title, I know, but all that boils down to really is it means that I have a hand in much of the marketing materials that you see surrounding WooCommerce, mainly on WooCommerce.com, our social media platforms, our email campaigns, and any other mostly digital content. So I'm going to jump right in. We've got a lot to cover today, and after my presentation, I'm going to hand you over to my colleague, Rob, who's going to chat a bit more about Jetpack. But first, we're going to start out with WooCommerce, and I'm going to introduce you to WooCommerce. It's something you may have already heard about. If you were on last week's webinar, you would naturally have heard it already. But you may still not be quite sure what it is exactly. So allow me to be your guide. Let's jump right in. And what is WooCommerce? WooCommerce it's an all-in-one e-commerce solution. It's a powerful plugin that allows you to seamlessly turn your existing WordPress site into an online store. And because it's built on top of WordPress, WooCommerce preserves many of the functions that are core to the standard WordPress experience. It just naturally adds e-commerce capabilities. So if you've used WordPress in the past, maybe for blogging or a personal site, or maybe just to showcase your business, WooCommerce is going to look pretty familiar to you as well, which is a good thing. And another benefit of the tight integration that WooCommerce has with WordPress is it means that you get the best of both worlds. You can combine world-class commerce with content. And naturally, again, because WooCommerce is built on top of WordPress, that means it's open source. So WooCommerce is not just a fly-by-night, um, overnight flash in the pan kind of thing. It's been around since 2011, and so far it's proven to have great staying power. And we're in it for the long haul, really. And if you look at popular analytics sites such as builtwith.com, they show that roughly 24% of the top million sites in the world are using WooCommerce. And W3 Tech's data also shows that there are 3 times more WooCommerce powered sites out there than Shopify amongst the top 10 million sites. So there's a lot of good market penetration. It's been around a long time. You can be confident that we're going to be around a lot longer as well. And one of the things that is so impressive about WooCommerce is that it has such powerful features right out of the box for free. And I'll cover more of those in just a minute. We're talking things like payment options, shipping, configuring tax rates, built-in inventory management, coupons, and customizable store analytics. You can also add extra customization and functionality. There's unrestricted customizability, really. That means that anyone can adapt it or build add-ons for it through a REST API. We also have webhooks, which if you're familiar with WordPress already, you'll know that you can use to integrate almost any service, really. There's also a passionate global community behind it. Since 2011, the community has grown from strength to strength, should I say, rather. And we have a pretty huge active user base, both online and offline communities, where folks can easily get solutions to problems. And I'll touch on that again before we get to the end of this presentation. The nature of WooCommerce's growth means that today there's a lot of people out there who have experience building WooCommerce sites. Not all of them have the same experience naturally, but there are a lot of them that do have recent experience building a store with WooCommerce, which also means that if you need to find a developer to help you along the way, there's a greater chance of you finding that, and more easily as well. So how should you think about WooCommerce? Well, firstly, I'm going to tell you how we think about it at Automattic. So our vision of WooCommerce is to democratize commerce. Now, what does that mean, democratize commerce? Kind of sounds, a bit strange, maybe. And to us, democratizing commerce means that we're making it accessible to everyone, really, regardless of income, technical capacity, your language, geography, gender, age, all of those kind of things. And that's why we are committed to not only building and supporting WooCommerce, the core WooCommerce platform itself, but it's also why we're developing solutions around shipping, tax, and payments, so that we can help merchants fulfill and transact more efficiently. And democratizing commerce also means empowering people to build exactly the store that they want. Not all e-commerce sites are alike, right? Many other e-commerce platforms which are built more around physical products, right? They intend merchants to set up a store selling physical goods such as t-shirts, and they plan and often expect you to ship something, a physical product. And WooCommerce provides a strong, robust framework that you can create either a basic online store or go as deep into the weeds as you like and extend it as you need. And importantly, you can get started affordably, keep more money in your pockets, sell what you want, really, sell anything, physical products, digital, service-based products, earning recurring revenue through subscriptions, even niche products. One of my favorites that I always share is that we had a pineapple stock photography site powered by WooCommerce, which is incredible that there was a business out there that found a niche and sold only stock photographs and illustrations of pineapples. I mean, it's it's incredible, really, the kind of customizability and creativity that you can apply in this situation. So bearing this in mind, we want to recommend that you think about WooCommerce as an operating system for your business. And my colleague Jonathan mentioned last week that WordPress is often described as an operating system for the open web. And WooCommerce, by virtue of being built on top of WordPress, as I've mentioned several times now, WooCommerce can then also be considered as your business's operating system, like the engine room, so to speak. And it's especially valid when you consider that an operating system is usually made up of three key components, right? It's the audience, who the operating system is designed for, the capability, what the operating system is capable of, clearly, and the interface, how the operating system is accessed and interacted with. And if you ask me, WooCommerce fits the bill on all three of those points. So that being said, let's get a bit more visual on this, and let's see how WooCommerce approaches the key components of e-commerce. So I'm going to break this up into 5 key areas, and I'm going to touch on each one in the context of Woo. Our 5 focus areas are manage, transact, fulfill, extend, and grow. And fun fact, this is actually how we delineate some of the teams here at WooCommerce as well, split into these sort of divisions. So I'm going to start off with manage. And this is the core experience, right? The onboarding prompts and flow when you're setting up WooCommerce for the first time, guiding you through the process of configuring your store, as well as the process of creating products, managing your inventory, and all of those kind of things that go together with managing your store, an online store on the back end. And this manage section also includes WooCommerce admin, which is your store's central customizable dashboard. And this gives you a quick overview of how your store is performing in real time. It features store analytics and reports, as well as an activity panel in the top right of the screen. You may be able to see it there. There's a couple of icons, inbox, orders, stock, etc. And this provides persistent store management tools, which makes it easier for merchants to quickly fulfill orders, manage their stock and their inventory, and also manage store notifications. There's not an overload of notifications happening all over in different parts of your WordPress dashboard. It's neatly contained in a pretty user-friendly section of your store management dashboard. And my favorite one is the new inbox notification feature, which is, you might notice the envelope icon there in the top right. And that addresses this sort of widespread WordPress problem that I was mentioning, which is notification overload. This allows you'll only get what's important. You'll only see that. And when you're managing a busy store, that's exactly what you need. You don't need distractions. You know, as I said before, no two stores are the same. And one of the powerful aspects of WooCommerce admin allows store owners to combine and collate data and create reports that fit their needs. You can configure reports according to your store's specifications, and settings are stored. Wow, that was a bit of a mouthful. Settings are stored on a per user basis. So the dashboard will look the same when you return later, even if you access it on your mobile device, which is pretty handy for managing your store on the go. Our second focus area is transact. And this is the process of taking orders, accepting payments, and working with inventory. So as you can see from some of these screenshots here, order management is an important part of managing an online store. You can see at a glance with color-coded store order status reports for each order. You can see whether they're processing, pending payments, completed, on hold. And you can navigate these orders with via quick view, or you can even go into the order itself to review, leave notes, and change status. You can see here, here's an example of an order that is processing, and once the order has been filled, you can mark an order as completed, and by hitting the blue update button, that means that the order is taken to the next level, your customer gets updated, perhaps the order is shipping at that point, and you can get on your way and carry on managing your store pretty effectively. So transact, that also includes payments, right? Not just orders. And WooCommerce Core, the WooCommerce Core platform, it comes bundled with the ability to accept major credit cards, bank transfers, checks, as well as cash on delivery. You can see a couple of these that I set up in the example here. WooCommerce comes standard with PayPal as well, and Stripe too. Depending on whether it's available in your region or not, you can enable this via a free download. And you can enable several different payment methods at the same time, or for different regions or zones. And the beauty of the extensibility of WordPress and WooCommerce, beyond the basics, there are roughly, I would say, I think there's about 135 to 140 region-specific payment gateways that you can choose from out there, either from our official WooCommerce.com extension marketplace or third parties. And those include popular payments processes that you'd expect to see, right? I've mentioned Stripe and PayPal. There's also Square, Amazon Pay, Apple Pay, Google Pay. And then we also get regional, like I mentioned, as well. Like, for instance, in South Africa, where I'm originally from, you get options such as PayFast. Affirm is a US-based option. Viva Wallet, as you can see in the examples there, is a European-based service as well. But one of the most exciting aspects of payments that I want to touch on is I recently launched WooCommerce Payments, and this is a native payments processor which comes standard now with WooCommerce if you're in the US. It's US based only for now, and this is we're trying to make payments more simple and allow merchants, store owners to manage their payments from one convenient place, their WordPress dashboard, instead of being taken to a third-party payment provider's website to manage things. It's a very disjointed experience, and WooCommerce Payments sort of unifies that process. There's a little preview here in this short video. It's the benefits of WooCommerce Payments are not only that you're monitoring the site on the go. You can also dig into the details a little bit more if you want to as well. It's free to install, as I mentioned. There's no setup fees. There's no monthly fees either. And at the moment, it is only US based, unfortunately. We've done this so we can sort of manage scope as we begin to roll out this service. But because WooCommerce is a global platform and global support for payments is a priority for us, you can actually expect to see us rolling out support for more countries and more local payment methods as soon as this year still. So be on the lookout for that. Right, so we've covered orders and payments. The next focus area that I'd like to touch on is fulfill. Shipping, delivering goods to customers, whether they're physical or digital products. And the WooCommerce Core platform has a whole bunch of built-in fulfillment options that are ready to go. Once you install it, right out of the box, you get options for free shipping. You can set a flat rate for shipping, or you can offer local pickup, which is especially handy right now in the current times that we're living in. A lot of stores, a lot of businesses are, their retail locations may be closed, but they still want to offer customers the opportunity to pick up the orders at the retail space if they're in the local area. And as with payments, there are a ton of third-party extensible options that allow you to connect with a lot of the most popular payment providers, right? You can see UPS there, FedEx, Stamps.com, as well as more regional options such as Australia Post and Canada Post as well. As with WooCommerce Payments, we're really excited about WooCommerce Shipping, which is another native development that we are. Again, it's only US based for now, in a similar way that that WooCommerce Payments is. And what this plugin does, WooCommerce Shipping, is it's a free extension that connects to the US Postal Service, and it allows you to print shipping labels from your WordPress dashboard. And another benefit is that you get to save up to 90% on the cost of shipping. And we're heavily investing in this. Our developers are working tirelessly on this as well. And I'm pleased to let you know that we'll be adding more carriers in the short to medium term. I can't say who they are yet. I learned more about this today. I can't name them explicitly yet, but it's really exciting and something that is growing. And you can even schedule a USPS pickup, so you don't even have to go into the post office. If you want to go into the post office, you can drop off the package there without standing in long queues, long lines. I believe the Americans like to say, I say queues, potato, potato. And as I mentioned, you can also schedule a pickup where you can print the label at home, apply it to your package, leave it on your doorstep, schedule a pickup for USPS through your WordPress dashboard. They'll come and collect it and ship it. It's pretty powerful and pretty exciting, actually, I think. Another focus area for e-commerce and the WooCommerce perspective is extend, and this is around adding new functionality to WooCommerce. And the great thing with WooCommerce, and one of the myriad of open source benefits, is that anyone can adapt it or build add-ons for it. There are almost endless possibilities. You could create multi-vendor marketplaces, offline fulfillment options, such as the local pickup that we referenced, and tons of custom functionality. And there are a couple of ways that are commonly used to add new functionality to WooCommerce Core. The first is through extensions, both free and paid, either available through the official WooCommerce.com marketplace, where we have hundreds of free and paid extensions that add features and functionality to your store. The benefit of choosing extensions as a means to expand and extend your business is you can do so as your needs and budget grow. And the benefit of getting these official extensions from us is that we vet the code, we make sure everything's above board and to standard, which is not something you always get with a lot of third-party platforms. And on top of that, you'll also get quality support from our happiness team as well. WooCommerce is extremely developer-friendly, and this also brings me to the second method that is commonly used to add new functionality to WooCommerce, and that's developing your own custom extension or hiring someone to do so on your behalf. Because let's face it, we're not all developers, right? We might have an idea, we might have a requirement, but we need someone to sort of help us get the idea to fruition. All businesses, again, are different, right? Yours may need that custom functionality that's not commonly found or required by most stores. And that's no problem, because we have extensive documentation, that's a better word. And because WooCommerce is built with a REST API, it's very flexible, super scalable, and it can integrate with virtually any service, really. And again, if you're familiar with WordPress hooks, you can change your ad code without editing core files. And because this is used extensively throughout WordPress and WooCommerce, they're extremely useful for developers. And we've even got a plugin developer handbook. And as I mentioned, extensive documentation, which if you need to create custom functionality for WooCommerce, we'll guide you along the way and make it as simple a process as possible. Finally, and I'm wrapping up here before I hand over to my colleague, Rob, our final focus area is grow. And this goes around helping merchants increase sales and conversions. There are multiple ways to grow your business, right? Things such as using automations to optimize your workflows, improving the speed of your website, marketing your store, listing on places like Google Shopping, Facebook, using MailChimp to email your customers, tracking and reporting and marketing. And marketing needs to be strategic, right? It needs to be proactive and impactful, but importantly, efficient to manage. And this is the foundation for us developing a robust marketing hub in WooCommerce Core. And this enables central marketing management, control, and guidance for effective marketing. We want to simplify this whole process for our store owners and merchants. And it's still in its early stages, in its infancy. At the moment, as you can see, there are a couple of recommended marketing extensions. And with the upcoming 4.4 release of WooCommerce Core, it'll also be the place where you'll be able to manage coupons. It also links out to helpful resources on the Woo blog as well. But it's going to be so much more as we iterate on this with time. And ideally, this is going to be the place where we envision that merchants will launch, manage, and measure all of their marketing activities, automations, campaigns, customer segmentation, and reporting. So the roadmap for the WooCommerce Marketing Hub is pretty long and exciting, and we're just getting started, as I mentioned. Woohoo! That's pretty much what I wanted to share with you right now before I hand over to my colleague, Rob. And also, I just wanted to mention before that the community is a huge aspect as well. And we hold monthly community chats in Slack. We have a very active Facebook group. The WordPress.org support forums are a great place to get support and help. And also, the WooCommerce mobile app is super helpful for managing a store on the go, and that's actually powered by Jetpack as well. WooCommerce and Jetpack play really well together, in terms of site backups protection, integrating with WooCommerce shipping, which I mentioned earlier, as well as our mobile app. So it feels pretty good and pretty right that I hand over now to Rob, as I mentioned, who's going to fill us in a bit more, introduce us to Jetpack, and tell us more about, what's it all about, Rob?
Thanks, Gareth. I'm just trying to get my screen working here. All right.
Looking good.
Let's see. 1 second here. I'll get it looking even better. All right, all right. How's that look?
You're looking pretty good. You don't have the long quarantine hair that I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah, we were joking. I was going to put a picture of Harrison Ford since you can't tell, but anyway, thanks, Gareth. That was great. Everyone, my name is Rob, and I'm the Director of Marketing for Jetpack. Today, I'd like to talk about two things that are essential for any successful website. It can be an e-commerce store or a website if you're interested in starting a blog or some other type of site, and that is security and speed. So why is security important for a website? Well, as you can imagine, there are lots of reasons, but I think at the end of the day, they all ladder up to one main reason. Thing that drives a lot of our decisions, especially with the website, it's money. And the simple fact is, when your site is down, you can't make money. You can't collect leads, you can't book appointments, you can't have people reading articles on your blog, all of that. One stat for you that I found, research shows that 1 minute of downtime costs a small e-commerce business an average of almost $9,000. I mean, that's a lot of money. And even if your site is new and you're just starting out, then it's maybe even more important to have keep your cash flow going. So unfortunately, on the internet today, there's a lot of threats that could bring down your site. There's malware, incompatible upgrades to your site, bad plugins. And if you're like me, there's also self-inflicted problems. As you're learning WordPress, it's quite normal to make a mistake when you set up a new page or a plugin that could crash your site. And even if you're not new to WordPress, I mean, it can happen. It happened to me yesterday. I was working on my site and thought I was doing something, and of course, I totally messed it up. One other thing I'd like to point out about security is the importance of customer trust. You may know if you've ever gone to a website and you get some kind of warning message that from Google or whoever saying, that you might not trust this site, or if the site is down, I don't usually feel comfortable spending my money there. So, think of your customers the same way. You got to keep your site up so they can trust it.
Hey, Rob.
Yes.
You're doing great. Thanks so much. We're getting a lot of people saying they can't see your screen, and I'm not sure why. So I'm gonna switch it for a second just to make sure that we are showing
Sure.
your screen the way it should be shown.
Okay.
So give me,
Okay.
I can see it, and the other organizers can see it, but for some reason um, it's not showing. Let me just, sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, so let's see if you pop back up here. I hate to interrupt you while you were doing so well.
No, it's all good.
You did all the work. Okay, so if everyone can just message us to let us know if you can see a screen now. I think it may have gone to another window maybe or something, Rob.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Okay, they can see it now. So let's see.
Okay. Well, the good news is you didn't miss much. You just missed my beautiful clip art of a dollar sign. Uh, for those old tech people in the crowd like me, the clip art. Anyway,
Okay,
so when
everyone
you're
can see. Thank you so much.
awesome. Sorry about that,
No
guys.
worries. Thank you.
So when your site is down, you can't make money, as I was saying. So what Jetpack can do is protect. One of the things it can do is protect your site to make sure that it stays up, or if it goes down, that you can get it back up quickly. Because I know, especially if you're starting out in WordPress, like it's really overwhelming. This is a lot of, it's hard to understand all of the different security threats and how to protect your site. So the good news is that there are security plugins that can handle this for you. There's Jetpack, there's many other ones that you can look into. I'll just talk about Jetpack today. So no matter if you choose Jetpack or another security plugin, I think it's really important to have a security plan in place as soon as possible. I mean, really, it's never a good time for your site to go down, but if it does go down and you haven't looked into it yet and you don't have a plan, it's really stressful. And it can take days or maybe even weeks to figure out who to talk to, what to do to get it back up. But if you do have a plan and you do have a good security plugin like Jetpack installed, it could just be minutes, which is obviously much better for your site. So I'm going to walk through a few of these key security features that can be set up in just a few clicks, and then you're prepared in case something goes wrong. All right, the first one is called Jetpack Backup. So when you're building a WooCommerce store or any kind of website, it gives you a clear way to see what changes were made and then be able to restore your site to how it was before. Like I said, especially if you're new, it's really easy to make a mistake, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try new things. You should be confident to experiment with your store or your site and know that you have a safety net in case something goes wrong. So what this screenshot here is called the activity log. And this tracks every action on your site, who made the change in case you have working with someone, multiple people making changes. It's good to know who was the person that did it. And then what the change was, what day, what time, all of that. And then what Jetpack Backup does is let you restore your site to any one of these things. So if something bad happens, you or an external something else, then you can easily restore it. And what's really great for e-commerce stores or WooCommerce stores is that it is a complete backup. So it also includes your sales and your customer data. If you have a bunch of sales and those customer data and you don't have another record of it, it could be gone forever. So it's really useful. All right.
Hey,
Next up.
I think it's your screen, Rob.
Oh no.
I think everyone could see it when you had your screen up and then you made it to presenter view, and then I think we can't see it now.
Okay. Well, I can. Let me see. Let's see.
I hate to interrupt you so much.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, people have to be able to see these
So some
beautiful
people said they
slides.
can see, some cannot. Everyone, I can still see it. I'm just reading through. I'm so sorry about this.
No, it's all good.
Thanks for everyone's patience.
So can people see it now? You'll see. I mean, you see my little bookmarks, but I think I'm okay with that if everyone is.
Yeah, some people had to log back out and back in. If everyone can just, if you're having an issue, can you close it? And okay, some people refresh their screen and it works.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, yeah, just drop another note. I'm really sorry about that. But here, like I said, was talking about It's the activity log. And next up is downtime monitoring. So if there was one feature that I would make sure that everyone would get, no matter what your site or your store is, it would be downtime monitoring. What this does, it sends you an email instantly if your site goes down. It's really simple. But you might be surprised if you're not working on your site every day, it could be hours or days before you even realize it's down. And as we talked about, every minute your site is down means lost sales, lost leads, etc. And this is a free feature with Jetpack. So you just download Jetpack and connect your site. It's really a no-brainer. So it's like the first step in at least knowing your site is up or down is really important. So I'd recommend this one. All right, are we still, any other complaints?
I think everyone is saying they can still see it after they refresh their screen. So
Okay.
I think we're good to go now. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Man, this tech problems. It's great. Okay. Next up is Jetpack Scan. So as I was saying, these external security threats out there like malware or bad plugins, they're always evolving. So it's really a lot to stay on top of, because if you're like me, then you're not a security professional. So that's why we built Jetpack with these really simple features in mind to let us handle as much of it as we can for you so you can focus on running your site and your business. So Jetpack Scan is just one click to turn it on, and you get automatic notifications if something goes wrong, like this one. You get an email, and the other great thing is that the majority of threats, it can auto fix them for you. You just one click. Well, I didn't do this. I didn't want this on my site. Let's fix it. You click the button, it's fixed. If you didn't have something like this, you'd have to, first research who could, a WordPress developer or someone else, call a friend to fix your site, and who knows how long that could take. So this is really helpful to get your site back up quickly. All right, the other cool thing is all of these security features tied together in the WordPress mobile app. So I'd like everyone to close your eyes and imagine a world where you could leave the house. I know, it sounds crazy, but try and imagine it. So in this world, I think it would be great to not be chained to my desk. I can run errands or go to the beach. And if my site goes down, I get notified immediately and restore it in one click from my phone. That sounds great to me, especially leaving the house. I really want to do that very soon. Here's a few more screenshots for you. So this first one, you look at the top one, we detected a possible security threat on your site. There's a Jetpack Scan issue here, tells you the issue. You can go ahead and fix it. If you want to restore, here's a list from that activity log I was talking about. If you see that little clock icon on the right, you can pick where you want to restore your site to and scroll back through the last few weeks to where you want to restore it to. It's really handy. All right, so we covered security. I'm going to talk about speed a little bit. So why is speed important for websites? And you might be surprised. No, you won't. It's the same awesome clip art. When your site is slow to load, you make less money. Maybe not the same correlation, but I have some stats for you here. A 100 millisecond delay in website load time can hurt conversion rates, that's a sales rate, by 7%. A 2-second delay increases your bounce rates, that's how many people go to your website and leave, increases your bounce rate by 100%. So twice as many people leave your site. For those mobile web users, which is now, the majority of people are usually on your site on their phone. If it takes longer than 3 seconds to load a site, they just leave. We're so impatient that 3 seconds. And remember, people on their phone, they're not always on Wi-Fi. They could be in a remote area. They could be rural. They could be on a slow network connection. So it's really important to have your site optimized for speed. Good news is that another potentially tricky, confusing area, but Jetpack can do a lot of this stuff behind the scenes for you automatically. I'm going to talk quickly about two features, Content Delivery Network, or CDN, lazy loading images, and then I'll also talk about site search and how that improves your site performance. All right, so what is a CDN? That's, I don't know, it's a big acronym. If you see on the left is your website without a CDN. And in the middle is, imagine the server where all the images and pages and code lives. And no matter where in the world people are, if they're on the East Coast, the West Coast, New Zealand, or they're hanging out with Gareth in South Africa, they go to the same, they have to pull the website from the same place. So if you're far away, it takes longer. With a CDN like Jetpack, it takes a network of servers strategically placed around the world. So no matter where the person is loading the website from, it's faster. And this is, like I said, important for people on phones or with slower connections. So, you know, it's still kind of confusing, but the good news is that this is a free feature in Jetpack, and it takes one click to turn it on. So again, it's kind of a no-brainer, and you don't have to worry about learning all the intricacies of website performance. On top of that is lazy loading images. So that's, you know, kind of a weird name if you haven't heard it before. All it means is it delays the loading of images on the page until people scroll down and then the picture loads. So if you've got a page with a ton of images, it can save a lot of time. I've got a little video here just to show you. So you'll see on the left, without lazy loading images turned on, and on the right, it starts loading right away. And as you scroll down, the pictures load. So if you remember, it started loading at 5 seconds. And on the left, at 55 seconds, it takes to load. So obviously that's an extreme example, but it shows you the power. And again, this is something you don't need to worry about. It's free with Jetpack, and it takes one click to turn it on. So it's pretty easy. So how easy is it, Rob? Well, here you go. This is the settings. It's got toggles. So you just click it on, one click. I like to say that it's so easy that even the marketing person can figure it out, because I can say that because I am the marketing person. But it makes me feel smart that I can get all these really cool features, powerful features, and it's just one click in Jetpack. All right, last one, we're almost done, is search. And this is one that you might not think about, but this might be my favorite feature. So Jetpack Search is one of our newest ones, and it can really make a difference in your site's engagement, how many people are visiting blog post pages or product pages, and your sales. So one more stat for you. People on e-commerce sites are twice as likely to purchase something when they search on the site. It's a really powerful stat. When I go to a page, yeah, I often, if Google didn't send me there right away, then I'm looking in the search bar for it. And it can be a really frustrating experience if that search doesn't work. And unfortunately, the default WordPress search isn't that great at matching results, so it can be frustrating to use. So Jetpack Search solves this problem in a few ways. First, the algorithm is improved, so the search just works way better than the default WordPress experience. So that by itself is worth it right there. Next, it gives you instant search results that update as you type. Next, it's got powerful filtering, so you can have categories here for the different types of pages. And also it's got spelling correction. I didn't just misspell social media there. If someone types in the wrong thing, the search is still smart enough to figure out, like Google does, that they really meant social media, not social media. So I encourage you to check that out. It's all the stuff that default WordPress doesn't do out of the box, and this can directly improve your sales or page views. All right, you made it. That felt like a bit of a whirlwind and had the tech problems, but a very quick recap is Jetpack can easily improve your site security and speed. 3 of the features I mentioned are free to turn on. They're one click, so I encourage you to check that out. backup, scan, and search, you need a paid upgrade to put those on your site, but I think it's totally worth it and you'll see the benefits. And so to get started, you just go to jetpack.com and install the plugin. And if you need any help getting set up, you reach out to our support team and we can help you out with that. If you were to take away one thing from my presentation today, it's put a security plan in place before your site goes down so you're not stressed about it. I promise it's worth the time. I learned this the hard way myself. You think, oh, it won't happen to me, or I'll get around to it later. And then when something bad happens, it's just too stressful to deal with at that time. So thanks for your time today. And I think we're going to open it up to questions.
Yes, thank you so much. Again, sorry everyone for the issues with sound. We're lucky that most of you were still able to hear us and get all of Rob's helpful information. I had a quick question that just popped up in regards to what you just showed with the search feature. Is that just for your website or for the general web is what they asked?
It's just for your website. So Jetpack connects to your website and improves how fast your page loads for other people, how fast your site loads.
Awesome, thank you so much. Okay, perfect. So we have a lot of questions that have come in, so we're going to try to answer those. We do have a question about how to measure speed and performance. I think Gareth may be able to answer that question.
Yeah, sure. I don't mind fielding this one. Aside from, maybe the DIY approach of testing it on your own internet connection or mobile device and seeing how long things take to load, if you want to do it a little bit more professionally and get some more in-depth insights, there are a couple of tools that you can use to measure this. Google Page Speed Insights, that's a pretty good one. And Pingdom, I think that is tools.pingdom.com, and that's spelled PINGDOM.com. These are great free online tools where you can not only test your website speed, and especially with Google Page Speed Insights, it will give you advice on how you can improve your page speed and it also splits these results up as well by mobile and desktop, and breaks it down by page load. Is it the images that are slowing your site down? Is it, maybe JavaScript is loading incorrectly? It'll break that all down for you and give you recommendations on how to fix that. So those are the two that are probably the most well known, and for a good reason. They're pretty potent.
Perfect. Thank you so much for answering that. So someone asked earlier about, it's a WooCommerce question, and it was in regards to how do you know which payment options are available in your country? Is there a way to check that easily anywhere?
Yeah, that's a good question. Specifically when it comes to such offerings such as WooCommerce payments or Stripe, for instance, a lot of those are available. They'll initially display as options during the onboarding wizard in WooCommerce. For instance, the onboarding wizard won't recommend a payment option that is not eligible for the country that you have specified in the setup. So one of the first screens when you start is where you tell WooCommerce which currency you'll be accepting, where your store is based, and that helps it recommend payment gateways during the setup process. Another way to do that is also if you are looking for payment gateways on the official WooCommerce.com marketplace, on the payment gateway product pages in the sidebar, it will often list things like compatibility, support information, and it will say any country restrictions will be displayed there as well. So those are probably the two easiest ways to tell, short of Googling or visiting the actual payment provider's website as well.
Perfect, thank you. And then the other question someone had is, I thought this is a pretty good question. Why should someone use, this is maybe not for you, maybe for Rob. Why should someone use Jetpack rather than like Updraft Plus or another plugin like that? Can you talk about the differences for backups and maybe your opinion on why, which is better for certain people?
Yeah, sure. So I think I'm not familiar exactly with what is in Updraft Plus free versus the premium, but I think what's really important to look at your, first of all, any kind of backup is better than no backup. So even a free version, usually the limitations on free is that it could be a one-time backup that just lets you kind of try it out. Or sometimes there's a storage limit. So, you can make a couple backups and then just like your iPhone, it's saying like, okay, now pay us for storage. So there's usually some kinds of things to look at. Some of the benefits I know that I can speak to for Jetpack. So there is real-time backups as one option, and that's probably for your bigger sites or more advanced people. But if you really are making a lot of changes, or e-commerce stores and you have a lot of sales and you want to revert to a specific place right away, that's a big advantage. Also is, without getting too technical, our data centers are distributed all around the world and are redundant. So no matter what were to go wrong, you're sure to be safe with ours. And we have like several million people that trust the Jetpack plugin and use it. So yeah, I think those are some of the high level reasons. But yeah, I think definitely look into your options, and if free to get started, give you a taste is good before you decide if you would like more features than that.
Perfect, thank you. I don't know which part, I assume this was in reference to Jetpack, but someone asked about the max upload size of videos. And could you, oh, actually it's for WooCommerce. Would you do this with Woo members and Woo subscriptions? I'm not really sure if that's enough information to answer that question, but maybe there's a size limit or something. Gareth,
So
or
yeah,
go ahead.
so the size, if it's a Jetpack video hosting question, the size is for one video file is 1 gig. But there is right now unlimited storage. So you could have, a million 1 gig videos. If you do that many, we might need to reach out and make sure everything's above board so we can enable your account for that. But after the file size limit, there's no limit, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you so much. Also have a really good question. Where are backups stored? This is a fun question. I like when we get these questions like this.
Yeah.
Do you want to take that one, Rob, or do you want me to have?
Yeah, I can try. I can't get too technical, which might be a benefit for the audience. They're all stored at my house. No, that was a bad joke.
That's a good one.
So, like I said, we have data centers all over the world, and it's kind of like a copies made of the site and placed in multiple places. So it's called redundant. So if something were to go wrong in one place, that it wouldn't matter. And brings up another good point, is that a lot of hosts have backups. So you might think, well, my host has it, I'm covered. And you might be, depending on how good the host, like if it's someone like Bluehost, then yeah, you have a great host there. But sometimes you'll want to make sure that the additional features will come with a backup plugin. And it's definitely worth taking a look there. So I don't know if around the world is technical enough for you, but
no, I think that explains it. Like, you have options on where you want. I know Updraft Plus has that option to store it, to back it up locally to your computer, or to the cloud, or different options like that. I think that was basically the point of the question. So I feel like you answered it pretty well. Thank you. Now, this is a question probably for Gareth. Someone wants to add products on the homepage of their e-commerce website using WooCommerce. How does that work, or does it work at all?
It does work, thankfully, and excitingly so. I mentioned, I think at the top of my presentation, something to do in the context of combining content with commerce, right? and that's possible using the Gutenberg block editor for WordPress. And we have WooCommerce specific blocks that, since I think version 3.6, if I'm correct, that's come standard in WooCommerce Core. And these product blocks allow you to place either individual products or on sale products by tag or category. You can place them on any page on your website, depending on the theme that you use. If your WordPress theme is Gutenberg enabled, that means you can place products pretty much anywhere. So absolutely, yes, that you can highlight certain products on your homepage, in your blog posts, even display them as recommended products on other products pages as well. It's pretty powerful.
Perfect. That sounds really cool. I really should start an online store at some point. I just haven't done it quite yet. But one more question for you, Gareth, while you're here. How can someone create a donate button using WooCommerce for like a charity site, a charity WordPress site?
Yeah, this is a question we actually get pretty often. And there are a couple of methods of achieving this, right? You can go the premium or free extension route. There are a couple of donation plugins out there that are compatible with WooCommerce. We have one as well that's called Donation for WooCommerce, I believe. But there are other ways around it depending on the use case. You could potentially use it, enable this by selling a digital product or a variable product. So these products, right, by their nature, because they would be digital, they're non-shippable products in predetermined prices that can appear, people can pay for and check out. So it's possible in several different ways. There are many different options available according to, you know, the type of charity or nonprofit. So the needs vary, but the good news is, because WooCommerce and WordPress are both so extensible, there's several ways to skin a cat, so to speak.
Perfect. And I also just sent a link in the chat for Name Your Price in WooCommerce. So hopefully that's
also
helpful.
a good one. Yeah, that's you know, as I mentioned, there's several premium and free extension options if you're not taking the digital product or, you know, custom development route. Name Your Price is actually a really good option as well. Thanks for mentioning it.
Yeah, thank you. Also, so I know we're running a little short on time, but I want to ask one more question. And this would be for either Maureen, who's on the line, or Rob. So does Jetpack automatically do your backups for you, or do you have to constantly go in and do that or set them up?
Yep, I can take this one.
Okay.
It's automatic. So once you set it up, I mean, we basically just install Jetpack, and then you put in your Bluehost credentials, and then we automatically do that for you. And then when you go to and if you ever need to restore it, then you just go to the activity log and click, you know, what day and time you want to restore it to. It's it.
Perfect. I have one more good question I really want to ask as well. Someone said, how can you make WooCommerce free? I know this is definitely a question about, you know, open source and how all of that works, but I feel like it's a really great question to ask. Does anyone want to take this on?
How do we keep it free, and how do we make
Yeah.
it free?
Yeah. How are people able to get it for free?
You know, uh, as it's built on WordPress, which, you know, has always been and always will be open source. WooCommerce was bootstrapped and built on that that mindset. So the open source community is one that is incredibly helpful, giving. Sure, Automattic is, you know, one of the driving forces behind WooCommerce, but it's still an open source product, and folks from outside of Automattic, from all walks of life, can still contribute to the WooCommerce core platform. And I don't see it there being another way, to be honest, just because we're so deeply embedded in that WordPress environment, which is, you know, so community driven. And, you know, we've got the bigger picture in mind as well. You know, like I said, we want to democratize commerce as well. We want to make it easier for everyone everywhere to be able to, you know, sell whatever they want. It's just one of the benefits of open source, you know, and we can monetize things in a certain way through, you know, extensions and things like that. But at the core of it, WooCommerce is open source, and we fully embrace that open source ethos and mentality, which is, you know, part of that is the software is free, it's adaptable for anyone to take and use as they wish. So I encourage folks out there who maybe are new to the concept of open source to look into it a little bit more and sort of get a bit more of an insight into the mindset that we have when creating and promoting this product.
That's a great answer. It's really free because of all the people, and it continues to run based on all the additional things that, you know, you can get to add to your site. I mean, obviously, people have to be paid to do jobs and things like that. So hopefully that answered the question. I thought it was a great question to kind of end on.
Yeah,
You know, why we care so much about open source, and why even Bluehost backs open source as much as possible. But I know we are out of time. We're really thankful for everyone who joined us today. As a really quick reminder, we will, I know this question keeps coming up, but we will definitely send this recording to everyone after our last webinar next week. We are taking these questions, we are digesting them, and making sure that we can get some answers for you for our wrap-up blog post. And you'll also have access to the slide deck. So you'll be able to see all the slides that maybe you missed through Rob's presentation. But again, we are so happy that you all joined us. We hope to see you again at the same time next week. We have some more great content for you. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Gareth, for extending your knowledge and expertise today. You both did a great job presenting.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having us. Yeah,
That was fun.
it's a pleasure. I thought Rob did really well too, and I really hope that he's still able to store all of those website backups under his bed in his house.
I need my presentation backed up so it can be displayed correctly.
Perfect. Well, thank you again, everyone. I hope everyone has a great weekend and stays happy and healthy. Bye-bye.